What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for To Your Eternity Season 2. This is episode 14, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
hmm Uh, so I guess we're finally at the point where the battle against the Knockers is about to begin.
Well,
Of
at the
course,
end of the episode,
the end of the episode, yeah. But we still get a lot more stuff that happens before then. So with the entire city knowing that Fushi's been helping out rebuilding every single building in the city. The princess decides to take Fushi over to her father, the king. Initially, she couldn't find him in her room, but Fushi was able to sense his presence somewhere else in the building and finds him pretty much like I guess in a terminal state, being unable to move around physically.
yeah. Of course, we don't know it's her father at first, but then we find out, that's him. I'm kind of surprised that Fushi can't really, considering all the powers he has, that Fushi can't really do anything for him.
I mean, he could just resurrect the guy, but he doesn't
Yeah.
know that yet. Yeah, it's just the fact that like Fushi can't. Well, as far as we know, he doesn't have the ability to heal other people, other than just resurrecting them. Which he still doesn't know at this point. But we'll get to that later. But yeah, he asked the king if he has any specific requests. If once he passes away, and the king pretty much gives him his blessing to help help his entire city or his countrymen against the Knockers. So it gives her daughter, the princess, permission to allow Fushi to I guess tear down the entire castle and then just, well, in a way, I guess you could say it's copying and pasting it. I don't really think Fushi's really improving these buildings. He's just copying each and every building so he can expand his reach among the populace.
Yeah, because technically his body, I guess, is connected to all of these buildings, so I guess it makes it easier for him to help out in the middle of a battle.
Yeah, because once he's finally finished, rebuilding the castle, he literally says he can feel people walking over him throughout the entire city, but he can't sense anybody beyond the walls after that. But yeah, we do get some characters coming back. We have Toto, or Lily as she's being called now, and Bond's sister also shows up to help out with the renovations of sorts. Or
I don't know if she even does she do anything, because she just kind of hangs around mostly. Like, I don't think she helps with anything. I don't know, like, is the whole time, like, when she was in the series earlier, that's kind of what she did, was she just she didn't really help out. She just kind of like walked around. She was mostly a comic relief character, a lot like Bond used to be. And that's kind of what she does in this episode, is she just kind of walks around and talks about, like, I think she was kind of crushing on this one guy, and then she talks about how she like doesn't have a boyfriend and all this. Like, I don't know. I was kind of wondering the whole time, like, what is the point of this character? Like, she doesn't really do anything, except just kind of walk around, and she's like, I guess is mostly just a comic relief character, really.
Well, she does have a conversation with Kahaku, in regards, well, about his feelings for Fushi, which they haven't really brought this up for a while now, but it's he, like, Kahaku still has this odd I don't know, obsession with Fushi, because we remember when he was first introduced that he's only interested in women, but now, like, he's fully committed to getting into a relationship with Fushi, regardless if his appearance is either a man or a woman.
Yeah, because Poco points out to him, like, that Fushi is a guy. I mean, which would make sense because Fushi does often take the form of the boy. So yeah, they're bringing that up again. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that they didn't really, they kind of they didn't really focus on that for a while, but now they're bringing it up again.
Yeah, but the most important thing about that conversation is, of course, the knocker in Kahaku's left arm, and of course, Kahaku's knocker, uh, writes down a message of, about the knocker's reasonings. Well, pretty much giving out the same reasonings as they gave to Fushi, saying that the physical form is, I don't know, like a sin or like some form of
Something
suffering.
about like he said they want to eliminate pain and suffering, which I found really weird and ironic because of course the knockers cause pain and suffering, but according to them, pain and suffering comes from the people having a physical body or flesh or something, and they want people to just be free of their bodies and to be like souls or something. So I guess that's what they see as pain and suffering, is just people living a normal life as a human.
Yeah. What happens concurrently is, Bon and the others, they see Fushi resting, somewhere in the castle, but then Bon somehow strikes a conversation with Fushi's creator.
Well, no.
And all,
Remember what happened was that Bond tried to talk to Fushi about the chemical that he used to on the people of the Church of Bennett, and Fushi then creates that chemical, and Bond is wearing a mask so that he doesn't breathe in the fumes, and because once Fushi creates it, then he breathes in the fumes, and then it puts him to sleep. And I guess Bond's plan the whole time was that he was going to get Fushi to smell it, and then he would pass out, because he later says, like, well, it's a good thing that Fushi is an idiot. But I thought that was kind of dumb, because it's like, why would Fushi not realize that he shouldn't breathe that in? And like, what if Fushi did realize he shouldn't breathe it in, and he just put on a mask too? I mean, would Bond just knock him out? Like, I don't know.
Also the fact that Fushi can copy himself throughout the entire city now, so it's basically.
It's a weird scene too, because Fushi doesn't bring it up later at all. Because I mean, he knows what happened, but he doesn't talk about it after it happens. It seems like he just completely forgets about it.
Yeah, but yeah, like I was saying earlier, Bond decides to have a conversation with Fushi's creator. But then all of a sudden, like, the other guys, like, what was it, Kai, Messar, and the others, they can see him too. So I don't know how. I thought
that was weird as well, because remember how they established that Bond is the only one, or he was the only one that could see spirits and nobody else could see them. And it made sense, like, of course, yeah, he could see Fushi's creator. But like, why can the other one see him? Like, they don't explain that.
No, it's just, and so like they get into more depth as to why Fushi's creator, like what his purpose is, what he wants him to do. But what's also interesting is that his creator wants Fushi to succeed him, because his time in the world is about to end. He doesn't really explain it, but it feels like he needs to, like, someone to succeed him once he's gone, which like I said, he doesn't really explain that, but some of the conversations he has with with the others don't sit well with them. Then all of a sudden Messar just charges up to him and then just stabs Fushi's creator in the back.
Okay, I was kind of shocked he was able to even do this. I thought it would just pass straight through him. Like, how was he able to stab him? Like, that kind of caught me out. Like, because I mean, you've seen him just kind of like go through the ground and stuff before. Like, why would a physical object be able to pierce him? I don't know. That kind of, like, I was kind of surprised by that. And
yeah,
he actually manages to pierce him, and he starts bleeding. But of course, it's not really going to do anything to him, because he just manages to basically just destroy the blade, and then he just leaves. So yeah,
it was
weird. I was wondering what provoked that, because I I don't know exactly what caused them to that Messar to want to stab him. I don't know.
It's I guess like it was one of the most confusing scenes that I've ever watched in
Yeah.
this show because like for one they don't even explain how the others can really see him, other than Bond for like because he can technically still see spirits, but for the others it doesn't make any sense, unless you could explain that they have like a strong bond with Fushi, but same could be said about the other people that Fushi's met. Unless if Fushi is like abilities have gone far beyond somewhere which that allows others to see his creator, but it just I don't know. I just don't know.
They never mentioned anything like that though. So
No.
yeah, I don't know.
So okay. So we get to the next morning, pretty much the day of the attack. So yeah, at the day of the invasion, Fushi decides to create copies of all of his deceased friends. One several from the island. One, of course, March sitting at the edge of the wall somewhere. But of course, they're still connected to Fushi of sorts, using the same rope that he always carries around. And of course, Bond kind of suspects something might happen if they end up getting separated. Of course, he still doesn't tell Fushi about this. But of course, what happens later is once the invasion starts, things already turned messy once the knockers throw projectiles at the wall, and that's when like what was it, the March copy falls off, and then all of a sudden she wakes up.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was, I'll be honest, that was a pretty interesting like kind of thing to end the episode on. I mean, because I guess I should have expected something like this to happen, because as we find, I did of course hear from what happens in the manga, we find out that, well, and also because of what happened earlier in season 2, Fushi does have the ability to resurrect people, but I guess like because like technically it's a copy of March and it was connected to him through this rope, and once the rope, she was disconnected from the rope, then she woke up and I guess was technically brought back to life. I don't know. I guess maybe
that's how Fushi was able to resurrect the princess, that terminally ill princess he met prior, but he didn't know at the time because he walked out before he could find out that that she came back to life, and only
so
Bond
basically
knew.
so yeah, just to kind of like, just thinking about it, considering all the forms of these different forms of people that Fushi has met over the years, like he has all these copies of these people. So really, like, unless there is some kind of a limit to his power, like it would seem to me like he could probably do this with any of the copies he's created of all these people, and bring them back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the only condition would be like if there are people that Fushi's met and that they're deceased. So if someone already ends up dying, like say what if Fushi finds out that March is alive, then he can automatically just keep bringing back people who ended up dying, in this upcoming battle.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and also it's funny because he's trying to go out of his way to protect all these people, but and then what if that's what happens too? Like, all these people end up dying, he can't protect them, and then he realizes that, oh, I can do this, I can bring these people back, so he just brings all the dead people back. I don't know. I see this going in a really bad direction if Fushi realizes he can do this, because it makes everything that happened like inconsequential. These people that have died and the effect it's had on him, he can just bring them all back to life.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird, like how that's how they're gonna approach this. I mean, I'm curious to to know what's going to happen with March. I mean, she's all by herself, for one thing, and
I'm wondering if she's going to like remember who she was. What if is she just going to have no memory of what happened to her? Like, I'm really curious as to if she's going to remember like all the things that happened, like who she is.
I mean, the princess that Fushi brought back was able to
Oh, that's
remember
right.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So it would make sense that um, March would likely remember what happened prior to this. So
Mhm.
I'm also curious as to see what's going to happen. Maybe it has something to do with like if you remember like Bond can see the spirits of all the people that Fushi's met, like the spirits of Tonari, the giant bear, Gugu, and everybody else is just basically following Fushi. So
Mm.
like maybe March's spirit, who was following along with him, is able to jump into her into her new body now.
Yeah, yeah. That might be how Bond finds out that March's spirit isn't following him anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this episode, it was I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, to be honest. Like, it's more of it's kind of more of the same if we think about it. You know, it's just more of building up to the knockers attacking. Um, the only kind of interesting stuff that really happened was the conversation between the Fushi's creator and Bond, even though that was a really weird scene. And of course, at the end, like March waking up. But of course, I don't really like the implications of it because, like we've been talking about, it really it means that Fushi could pretty much bring back anybody that he's met at this point if he has a copy, if he can take their form.
I mean,
So
it's pretty much getting to the point where Fushi's about to become a god. I mean,
he pretty much is a god. I mean, and it makes
that's
sense. Like once we learn what the motivations of his creator is, that he wants Fushi to replace him. I mean, he basically like is getting pretty close to being a god, which is what his creator pretty much is. Um, so I mean, it makes sense in that regard. But it doesn't make for an interesting main character because he has godlike abilities and he can't really die. So unless I mean, there are interesting ways to make an immortal like main character, but and I feel like in season 1, they kind of it was interesting, but they've given him way too many powers and way too many ways for him to just get out of something, resurrect all his friends, or survive, and save all these people. It really just makes there's no real stakes to what happens in the story anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they just completely removed any limitations this character has at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, like I would have been fine if he was just basically an immortal, just living throughout the centuries, losing people he loves. But now that now he has the ability to just recreate whatever he wants, and now just expanding the reach of how far he can. I guess he can manifest something from a far off distance. Now it's like he's basically like almost unstoppable at this point. Well, other than the fact that he still has a disadvantage against the knockers. I mean, it'll only be a matter of time that he'll be able to overcome them at such an extreme length that the knockers won't be able to to touch him at this point.
Yeah, not to mention the knockers, like they're pretty weak villains in my opinion. Like they haven't really changed too much from when they were first introduced. And like if they were continuously maybe evolving along with Fushi to try to like counteract all these new abilities he had, that'd be kind of interesting, but that's not really the case. So I don't know. I feel like they need to do something with the knockers to make them like more compelling villains, but so far they're just kind of boring in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be like an interesting twist with Kahaku's knocker arm. Maybe
Yeah.
that might play a factor that we might not be seeing at this point. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, we only have like 6 more episodes left.
Yeah. It definitely felt like they were really drawing out the them just preparing for the knocker attack, and I'll bet they're probably going to do that with this battle that's coming out. It's probably like, if I could predict, it's probably going to be like a really drawn out battle, and it's going to last over like most of the remainder of the season. I kind of hope it's not the case, but I feel like that it probably will be, considering how it's really like slow to a crawl, and they spent so much time on Fushi just building all these houses and preparing for the knocker attack.
Yeah, it's pretty much built up to this one particular, this one particular scene of them fighting against the knockers at Renril Kingdom.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
No, I mean, I'm just curious of how the rest is gonna play out because it's yeah, been kind of a mixed bag of how Fushi has I guess evolved, ability wise, because I'm considering like how like just the amount of limitations that were removed from him ever since the end of the first season. It's just it's just becoming a point where he's just almost OP, to the point of ridiculousness.
Yeah, like
I mean, I've seen like other series like you know of OP characters, but it's like Fushi's like almost a unique in some regards.
yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel like there's a way to do that kind of character right, but it feels like in season 2 they've completely just tried they've completely forgotten how to do that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that all being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.